What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today I want to show you guys how to get this aircraft, the 737-800, into the skies from a cold and dark state. It's going to be more for beginners. Again, I don't know all the checks and balances and stuff, but as far as all the operational stuff, I'm kind of familiar. I've been getting a lot better with the airplane. So we'll go ahead and go from starting the aircraft to pushback to taxi all the way to takeoff, and also how to import. We're not going to import. We're going to actually manually put in our flight plan and our payload information, our fuel, and all that. And hopefully this will help a lot of you guys. I know I needed a lot of help at first, but a little bit trial and error. And yeah, we're getting a little bit better every day. So let's get right into it. All right. So whenever you first start, when you log in to the sim and you get your aircraft, it's cold and dark state. Nothing's on. Everything's completely off. This is essentially what you would see when you come into an aircraft, and it's basically everything's completely off. So we'll go ahead and do our battery guard, which turns on our battery. We'll do the emergency lights, and we would want to go and activate ground power. That way we don't run the battery down. So what I'll do next on this plane, once you start your battery, you can actually come into your FMC, and you go to FS Actions, Ground Service, and ground power. We'll go ahead and request ground power, and then if you go back up here in your top panel, you should this ground power available light should come on. There it goes. Boom. Okay, now we're on ground power. We can go ahead and switch this. Actually, we leave it alone. It's on ground power. Put this on battery bus, and then from here I'd like to go to the overhead and put both of our navigation systems onto nav. That's going to align and basically tell the aircraft exactly where it's sitting. Put this on heading status. So it should come up and see how many minutes are left for the plane to actually align and figure out where it's sitting at. And once I do that, then I'll go ahead and come down here into our FMC. We'll do return. And now once that's setting up, I like to put in, normally I would put in our fuel, our total fuel right here. That'll be a whole nother video if you guys really want that, and then our payload as well. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to do the normal or regular flight plan. So you would go to your IRS position, which is the airport that you're in. We're in Jacksonville, KJAX. We're going to do POS in it. Our reference airport is our departure airport. There it goes. And there's our left and right navigation system that we activated. We'll go ahead and choose our left one. And that is our IRS position. Boom. So now the plane essentially knows exactly where it's at. After that, we would go to route. Normally, I would do a flight plan request. You can actually import from SimBrief directly to the plane. But for this purpose of the video, we'll go ahead and manually do it. That way you guys can see not a better way, but if you don't have that way of importing your flight plan, you're going to want to do this. All right. So our origin is Jacksonville. We are going to our destination right here. It's going to be Tampa Airport, Tampa International, KTPA. That is the code name for that airport. Okay, and now our runway. This is all going to be, if you use SimBrief, is all the information is going to be on there. I'm going by one of my most recent flights that I did. So we know we're taking off runway 26 from Jacksonville. There it is. And then we'll go ahead and go to our departure. Runway 26 is our departure runway. And then we are taking off. Our departure procedure is jetting to transition Jaja. So here's jetting to, and then your transition is Jaja. Okay, perfect. You don't have to execute that. It's already in the plane. So here's your departure procedure. It's already on there. You can see all your, if you go to legs, you can see basically all the steps on your autopilot or your navigation. And then let's go ahead and do route. We'll go back to route. We'll go ahead and activate that. Execute. And now we have that active route active on our plane. So normally I would go performance in it, and again, this is all information you're gonna get from SimBrief. whatever program you used. I use SimBrief to 0 fuel weight is. As long as you double tap it, it'll be on there. Cost of index, normally I do 35. And then you will put your fuel reserves and your cruise altitude. I believe for this flight, yeah, we're doing flight level 210 for our cruising altitude. It would also have our winds and stuff in there. I don't want to go into too much detail on that. I just want to get the flight plan in here for you guys. And then, yeah, you would put your reserves and your plan fuel that you plan on using on the flight. N1 limits, we'll leave that normal. You can derate if it's a light plane and it's not heavy, or you can bump it up if you're almost basically full plane. It's 27,000 as far as for takeoff. And then here's your takeoff. I normally go flaps 5, and then as long as you double click on this, it'll give you your trim set to 512. That's what we have to trim the aircraft. That'll be in a little bit. We'll do that. We'll leave our vertical speeds unchecked until it's a pretty heavy plane, so it's giving us some crazy vertical speeds. Normally it's like 130 whenever I do like a sim brief flight plan. It's not a full plane, but yeah, so we'll come back to this once we finish our route. So now what I want to do is I want to go here on the legs page, click next, and here we're going to go ahead and continue inputting our flight. So I know that after Jaja, we're going direct to Edison. So that will be EDISN. All right, guys, we're back. I got a phone call, so got interrupted there. But anyways, we were inputting our actual route after we put in our departure procedure, and then we'll look at our flight plan. So after Jaja, we know we got to go to Edison. We'll go ahead and insert that right there, execute. And then after Edison, we are going, after Edison, that is it. Then at Edison, we're going to be doing our, normally you would leave it right there, especially if you're on VATSIM. You wouldn't want to put your arrival until you're, you could put your arrival, I just wouldn't put your approach. Your arrival procedure for this route, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to show you how to do all that. So we'll go into departures and approach. We'll do our approach at Tampa, and for this, let's just say you're flying without VATSIM. You're just doing a flight by yourself, no ATC, right? So we'll go and just look at my flight plan here, make sure I got the right runway. Flight. All right, so at Tampa, we are expecting runway 19 right. And it's going to be the Dades 1 arrival. But we want to choose our runway first. So let's say we'll do an ILS runway 19 right. Transition high. So how do we do that? Okay. So let's go on here. ILS 19 right. Click on that. Our transition is pi. And then our arrival procedure is Dades 1 and transition Edison. Boom. I'll go ahead and execute that. And now you have basically your whole route is in the FMC. So if you look at our legs, this is our takeoff procedure or our departure procedure. We're going to be vectored into Durte. And at that point, radio will vector you. If you're flying by yourself, you can vector yourself all the way to Durte, or you can kind of just go direct to once you reach a desired altitude. Normally it's around 5,000 feet. So at that point, we just double check, make sure we have no discontinuities on the flight plan, because that would mess up. And then, yeah, so it looks like everything's there. We even have the hold and everything on our procedure. Okay, so our flight plan is basically done. At this point, what I like to do is go back up here. We'll go ahead and start our APU. Take the bleeds off for engine 1 and 2. APU bleed on. Fuel pump is on. And APU start. Now you'll see this exhaust gas temperature for your APU, which is the small jet engine. I say small, but the little jet engine in the back of the plane right here. You'll see it. You'll hear it start on. You hear it winding up. and that is the APU for the aircraft. That way, you need the APU in order to start the engines. There you go. See how it's you can see the exhaust gases coming out now. And this will drop back down to right around 4, and then it'll give you APU generator power. And then we'll swap it over from ground to APU generator. Also, a step that I missed, you can actually turn on, once you're on ground power, you can turn on these window heats. We'll leave the pitted heats, or the probe heats, off until we start engine. There you go. See, it's right at 4. Generator bus power. All right, we'll do that. 1 and 2. We'll switch this over to APU gen. Now, before we do a pushback, before we do a pushback, we'll go to FS actions. We use both FS, so you don't have to just do one. We'll go here and go to ground surfaces. Now we can release ground power. We don't need it anymore. We can disconnect the little generator that they have. So once that is done, we are basically ready for pushback and start. Yeah, your pushback and start. You would also get your ATIS for your altimeter settings. A quick shortcut is just by pressing B. It'll go ahead and set it for you. It's 30.27. For our fuel reserves, I don't know what it is. So I'm just going to put in a number. That way the plane doesn't freak out on me. Okay, transition altitude is 18,000. Your crosswind or your cruise winds, you're going to put that in from your flight plan. It'll give you all the information on there on SimBrief. That's the only one that I use, so that's the only one I know how to use. There's other programs out there as well, I'm sure, but that's the one that I go with. And then, if you want, you can go to N1 limits here on init ref. Go to N1 limits, takeoff, because remember, we didn't choose our vertical speeds. So we have B1, vertical rotate, B2. Boom. Now that is going to display on our flight directory right over here. Okay. And we are essentially ready for engine start. What I like to do also before I start is this is going to be your flight altitude for your cabin pressurization system. Your cruise altitude for this flight, for this purposes, is 21, flight 210. You want to double check that, come down here, or you can do the cruise. Flight level 210 is our cruising altitude. So you'll set that right here. At this point, we'll go ahead and you can chime in the seatbelts on. We're about to push back and start. And you can also go ahead and turn on your hydraulic pumps and yaw damper. That's the way I do it. Some people wait to do after the engines. I just do it on right now. And then we're good. So I use GSX for pushback. Go here, request pushback and departure. And let it do its thing. Should be disconnecting the staircase. Yeah, there it goes. All right, you with GSX you can choose your handler. We are United, so we'll go ahead and do United Airlines. There it goes, right here. Pretty cool little system. I would suggest getting this if you don't have it. It's pretty dope ground services. You actually do your whole. I don't want to do a whole video on it, but you can like.
Hello, Captain. We're ready for pushback.
Here we go. We're ready for pushback. You can do like passenger loading, baggage, and all that. They'll actually come and load the plane, and here they are. But we didn't use them, so pretty cool.
Departure check completed. Bypass pin inserted.
Okay. Once we get our engines going, then I like to come up here and set our autopilot setting for our departure. Why is the camera all messed up? So annoying. Anyways, we want the nose to the right, tail to the left. So that is nose, right, tail, left.
Release parking brakes.
Okay, so in this plane, to release the parking brakes with GSX, just go ahead and remove wheel chocks.
Commencing push. All engines clear.
All
Start
engines
at
are
will.
clear. Start. So we'll go ahead and turn on our fuel pumps. If you have fuel in the center, we'll go ahead and turn on the center ones as well. All right, awesome. And then we'll do our ignition to ground. And on here, you're gonna have your N2 speeds. Once that reaches around 25, we can insert fuel into the engine to go ahead and start it. Boom, 25. Check fuel. That should start our right engine. This guy's about to get run over. Oh no, he's not. He's good. Thought he was in the plane. Anyways, that engine's good. This should automatically come back off. There he goes, off position. We'll go ahead and go back to ground on the left engine, and we'll do the same for this engine as well. We'll watch our N2 speed. (21, 22). Okay. There's 25. Engine start 1. That is for our left
Set
engine.
parking brakes.
Okay. Now it wants to set the parking brake. So on this plane, the way it works in the 737 is you hold down the brake, and then you
Waiting
press
your confirmation for good engine start.
the parking brake. So once we have good engine start, we'll go ahead and go and tell GSX our engines are good to go and stable. We have good engine start on both sides. There's that idle. This one should reach about the same. There it goes. We have good engine starts. We'll go ahead and put our generator on the engines. Gen 1, Gen 2. We'll put this on Gen 1. We'll go ahead and turn on our engine bleeds, turn off our APU bleed. We can go ahead and turn off our APU at this point. We don't need it anymore. Our packs, we'll put it on auto. There it goes. You can go ahead and now give some AC to the passengers. Once we get them AC, then our Pro Ps, we can go ahead and put them on. All right. We have our yaw dampers on. Our electrical systems are on. We have no warning messages. Double check. We have none. So at this point, what I like to do, we have our engine start. Go ahead and tell GSX we're good to go.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Okay. We would like to turn on TCAS as well. That's our traffic alert system. And here's where you would put your transponder code, once again, if you're given one by ATC. And your radios would be right here. Radio comms frequencies. All right.
Unlocking gear.
Okay, good. So while they're doing that, I like to come in here, go into FMC. We will do an init reference. So we know for takeoff, remember when we did this step right here, we want 5.2 on the trim, right down here.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
Okay.
Left is clear. Right is clear.
Just right over 2. Or right over 5, sorry. Why is it giving me the reading? There's a little bit high. There it goes. Doesn't have to be perfect. 511 is fine. That is set. We'll go ahead and set our flaps to 5. And it should start coming down. There they go. Okay. At this point, we're ready to taxi. So before we do that, I like to turn on our flight directory on both sides for our autopilot. Auto throttle is armed as well. And what I like to do is for the heading, especially since we have to vector out, I like to put our vector heading, which is the same as the runway heading in this case. It's 257. 257. And our altitude, I said it was 5,000. That's just the altitude we chose. So once that is set, we're pretty much ready to taxi. We know we're taking off runway 26. At this point, you would get your taxi procedures. There we go. I don't know where the camera... Dude, I hate the camera in this game sometimes. I really, really do. All right, we'll go ahead and taxi, and I'll meet you guys right before the runway. Also, guys, a good side note that you don't forget is to I knew I forgot something. We'll go ahead and stop there. It is our anti-collision lights and our wheel lights. We'll go ahead and put it in. We'll leave it on steady. Right before takeoff, you can go ahead and put it on strobe. We'll do our logo lights on, and then we'll do landing lights and taxi lights. Those stay on till around 10,000 feet. Taxi lights you can take off. Hey guys, welcome back. Well, we're holding short our runway 26 here. What I like to do while we're waiting for clearance is go ahead and make sure our flaps are set, our trim is set correctly to what our FMC had told us to trim the plane to. Make sure everything on the autopilot main panel here is set correctly. We're gonna go, for the purpose of this video, you would follow speed restrictions according to your chart. For this video, we're just gonna go ahead and go to 210. All right, guys, we're back. It seems like everybody wants to call me now. But anyways, as we're holding short, we make sure everything's fine. Everything is double checked. We have our all of our lights on, strobe is on, and we're pretty much ready for takeoff, guys. So in this plane, you have a little toggle switch right here, which would be your takeoff, go around power. So I will show you how that works in a second. Let's go ahead and line up. Okay. All right, so now that we're lined up and we've done all of our pre-checks, everything's good to go. We are set. We're going to power to 50% on both engines. Oh yeah, this is a heavy plane, baby. There's 60 stable. You can either power up yourself or you can hit toga. Try and keep it on the center line as best as possible as you can.
80 knots.
There's 80 knots.
Rotate.
Rotate.
V2. Positive rate of climb.
Positive rate, we'll bring our gear up. Flaps up 2. Flaps 1. Trim the aircraft as needed. Again, we're just flying runway heading here. Okay. At this point, we're about 2,000 feet. I'll go ahead and set the autopilot on. Ready, rank command A. And autopilot is on. And it's going to head over to the vector heading, which is 257. At this point, we'll take off. Vertical navigation. We can go ahead and speed to 250 knots. There you go. We'll set that on Mach speed, so it follows our sign speed that we have set here. So let's say you're vectored, and right now it's climbing at around 1,000. We don't have any VNAV bombs, so let's go ahead and do a vertical speed. It's going to try and get to 250 before it continues to climb. There it goes. So now let's do at 3,000 feet per minute. Let's get to 5,000, then I'll show you how to use this heading select mode. Really windy here in Jax, huh? Flaps up. And we will put our landing gear back in the middle position. Once I get to 5,000 feet, I will show you guys how to steer the airplane with just the heading selected. And again, this isn't like any real vectors or anything. This is just me showing you guys what how the heading select mode works. We'll do a altitude intervene to 10,000. This altitude intervene is if you're flying on VNAV. You go ahead and do level change. Plane's gonna climb to 10,000. You can see this is where we're trying to get to, right? If we're gonna skip over Durte, you're just going to click on jetting down here, and you're going to skip it over on the vector and execute. Now the plane knows that is our next path, but we're vectored right now to fly a heading of 300, and we're climbing to 10,000. All right, let's say ATC calls us back. They're saying, hey, make a left turn at heading 247. Okay, left turn 247. Oh, hit the angle. 247. See the plane's turning. Is holding our Mach speed up 250 knots as well. All right, now ATC calls us back as soon as we make that left turn. It's like, hey, you're clear for, you know, your cruising altitude of 21, flight level 210. We'll go to flight level 210, and you're clear direct to jetting. So we're clear to continue as planned in our flight plan. So once we have that clearance, and that is our next leg, we'll go ahead and hit vertical nav, VNAV, and that is it. The plane will take you over to jetting. And it's past 10,000 feet. So we'll go up here, take off the landing lights, taxi lights, all that is good. Again, if I miss some steps, feel free to let me know in the comments. Again, this is just for beginners. We basically got our flight plan in. We got the airplane up. No warning messages, so that's always good. But yeah. Yeah, it's gonna always prioritize speed. It's gonna level out speed, and then it'll climb. There you go. It's gonna straighten out. Again, you probably won't get these vectors with ATC. They probably won't give you these crazy vectors. It'll probably be more of a left turn initially, and going right and then left. But you never know. I was just trying to show you how the heading select mode works. There, and now we're directly back on our main path that we set on our FMC. That's it, guys. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'll try and help you out as best as I can, to my knowledge. And yeah, so if you like this video, man, consider subscribing and giving a thumbs up. And I'll see you guys on the next video.